Hey, good morning, fam. It's your boy Josh. Our favorite track meet did not disappoint last night, as the T-Wolves dominated all game with a large lead for majority of it. But then, the T-Wolves did their usual meltdown process, initiated by Cat, and blew the lead at the very end. And all I have to say about Morant is wow. We are seeing one of the most unique ballers, and definitely a generational talent. Just ask Beasley. Rest in peace, Malik. Feel bad, but at least he will make history with that poster. And interestingly, Morant scored more points in the last 4 minutes of that game than Trey did for his entire game yesterday. So, farewell, Trey. This was just not your year, and we felt this coming. He was a complete disappointment this season. Even with Jimmy out, he struggled big time last night, going 2 of 12 from the field and 0 of 5 from 3, with 6 turnovers to boot. In fact, he finished the playoffs with more turnovers than buckets. Man, that's rough. So I'm sorry, Hawks fans. Sometimes mismatches are just too large to overcome, but there's always next year. Today we only have 2 games, but we will try our best to mine some gems. So, you know the drill. Let's get hunting. The Bulls at Bucks has a 12-point spread and a 218 implied total. Levine recently entered the health and safety protocols, so he will most likely be out today, and Caruso is questionable as he's in the concussion protocol. That's a huge hit to both the Bulls offense and defense, so DeRozan will have to carry the team on his back even more so with his scoring and playmaking. But I assume the Bucks will focus all their attention on stopping him with traps and double teams, so it's going to be a really rough night for him. Thus, it makes me really hesitant to click on him, but there's no tomorrow for the Bulls, so they can't wave the early white flag, and DeRozan will have to go all in. So his fantasy points might be a target, since he will have to do everything, and maybe his assists too, since he will have to playmake. If Caruso is out, then Io will likely draw the start at point guard, so we will have to look out for his props, mainly for his assists. And Patrick Williams will have to play big minutes, and his offense will be needed. And he's also active on the glass, so maybe we could consider his 17.5 PRA or his fantasy points. Vooch has thrived this season when Levine is out, so his 19.5 points could be in play. I assume he dominates shot volume today with DeRozan getting all the attention on defense. But it's just a lot to ask from Vooch in this tough matchup, and that holds true for all of the Bulls. But we have seen Billy Donovan's squad put up a fight at times, so there is a small chance they keep this close till the end, but that's risky to bet on in my opinion. For the Bucks, it's hard to decide on their lines because they're all juiced, and we have a huge blowout risk. So I will probably fade for the most part, or maybe even consider some unders. If you want a fun, low-hanging fruit to sweat, then you could consider Giannis's 3-point prop. He just needs to make one, and he'll probably treat this game as shooting practice once they get a large lead. But this is definitely a fringe play, since he is shooting 29% from 3 this season, and averaging around 3 to 4 attempts this series. His assist prop could be in play if Grayson Allen and Bobby keep draining their threes, because he will drive and kick it out, but he will have to get this done in maybe just 3 quarters, and Drew could soak up assist opportunities, so it's risky and more fringe. Speaking of Grayson Allen, we will have to see what his props look like once they drop. I really don't want to play him, but he's thriving with Middleton out. That's what we have come to now as we get deeper in the playoffs. The Nuggets at Warriors has a 9-point spread and a 226 implied total. This is the game. Jokic is going down with the fight as he's carrying his squad as usual. Therefore, his 29.5 points and fantasy points will be primary targets today. He will continue to dominate against a much smaller Warriors unit. You could pair his points with Monte's 4.5 assists, but I also like Monte's 1.5 3-point prop since he's leading the team in 3-point attempts this series, and he will chuck it if they are trailing for most of the game, and Jokic will find him open from 3 too. Last game, Aaron Gordon started shadowing Jordan Poole and gave him problems and racked up steals and blocks as a result. So I think Aaron Gordon will play huge minutes again today, and he's Gunn's favorite player, right? So we can't target his fantasy points today if it's less than 28. Steph no longer has a minutes restriction today, but the big question is whether he returns to the starting lineup or not, or what the rotation will even look like. This rotation with him playing off the bench has been so effective in this series, so it's possible that Steve sticks with Poole starting and Steph off the bench, especially since Poole struggled off the bench during the regular season. However, Poole has also struggled against Aaron Gordon's shadow defense, so it's possible that they try to rotate Poole's minutes away from Gordon as much as possible. But nonetheless, I like all of the depth lineup props, especially at home. Steph and Klay will take 10 plus threes each, and the Splash Brothers can clear their 3-point props in just 1 quarter in front of the home crowd. So Steph's 3-point prop will be a primary target, and hopefully we get a 3-point prop for Klay later today. It's currently not on the board. But we could also consider his 23.5 points too if we don't get it. And Playoff Dre will command the floor and dish out dimes to the Splash Brothers. So I like his 7.5 assists. And he will feed off the crowd's energy, so his fantasy points is live too. And Poole will continue to be a key part of this unit, so we can't target his fantasy points since he will fill the stat line too. So let's recap our favorite targets so far. First, Jokic, 29.5 points or fantasy points. Second, Steph's 3.5 3-point made or fantasy points. Third, Draymond's 7.5 assists or fantasy points. Fourth, Poole's fantasy points. Fifth, Clay's 23.5 points or 3-point made if we get it. And lastly, Gunn's all-time favorite, Aaron Gordon's fantasy points. Let's see what Gunn thinks about him later today. Both of these games have really high spreads, but they are elimination games, so we should expect a fight from both losing teams. Please hit that like button on the way out. We always appreciate that. And come join me and Gunn later today at 4 p.m. Eastern for our live stream. We're going to put on our hard hats and mine these props as hard as we can. So as always, best of luck everyone. I hope you crush it, and take care.